Hello and welcome to Table Podcast. This is episode 4, the one where we mostly talk about Guild Ball.
Oh, Guild Ball! Hashtag excite. Can't wait.
Simon is ridiculously excited about this game.
I've got butchers. They punch people in the face. I like any game I can punch people in the face. I enjoy that. Sorry.
Yeah, so you may have noticed there's only 2 of us here this evening. It has nothing to do with Simon being ridiculously excited.
I must have put everyone off with my talk of Guild Ball. Oh my god, it's amazing!
Anyone who's ever tried to get more than 2 wargamers in one room at the same time will know it's rather like herding cats. So
yeah, but I think I'd rather be herding cats than wargamers.
Yeah.
Much easier.
So we've given up today. We decided that we probably should get an episode out because we've been trying to for the last 3 weeks.
I've got to say 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Been trying. It's just difficult.
So we just decided 2 of us were free. Let's record something. So we're going to go through, talk briefly about the open day at Warhammer World, because obviously there's quite a lot of new stuff came out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obviously we've got Dan's Warhammer campaign weekend. We've mentioned it previously, but it actually happened last weekend.
You were at that last weekend?
I was there, and I don't want to do any hashtag spoiler alert, but you know, winning captain here. Hello, winning captain. Hello.
And then for the main thing, we're going to sort of do an introductory talk on Guild Ball.
Butchers for the win.
Woo! So, on that note, we'll see you after the break.
Bye bye.
So let's start with Warhammer World's grand reopening, which was on this Saturday.
Yeah, just gone and stuff. I mean, it looked amazing. I was glued to Twitter all day going refresh. Some of the stuff on there, I just kept seeing all the photos go, I want to be there. We have to go soon. We've got to go soon.
We've just been talking off air about going down. I mean, we're quite fortunate because we're in Leeds, so if there isn't like all the way 50 miles an hour the speed limit on the motorway, which there currently is, it's about an hour door to door.
Yeah, just over an hour.
Yeah,
about now. Yeah.
Which actually, whilst we're mentioning that, start with something that they have started doing, which I think quite a few people are surprised about, is because they're now charging for the exhibition hall.
Yeah, I was surprised by this because obviously we've been quite a lot to Warhammer World, and we book tables and we go down and play games and you have dinner in Bugman's, but £7.50.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I was thinking about this, because I mean, also Warhammer World is about, well, Nottingham is about a third to half the way to my parents, and obviously Bugman's is a lot better food than you get on the motorway service station. So we'll quite often, me and Sue will call into Warhammer World.
Oh, sure.
Rather than stopping. Yeah, which is great.
Okay.
Then means I can go to like Forge World and stuff. I'll leave soon Bugman's. They've got Wi-Fi. But a couple of times that we've been, I've taken up and we've gone and we looked around the old miniatures hall and taken her through, sort of show, you know, she's looked at the stuff and been able to go, all that, you know, that's such and such and that's such, you know. But there's no way I'd pay 15 quid to take both of us in to do that for somebody who's not really that interested. I mean, I think the thing is, it's not really designed for us because we're so close. You know, we probably pop in, what, 2 or 3 times a year at least?
Yeah, at least I'd say, yeah.
I think more it's for you people who are, for want of a better word, on a pilgrimage.
Yeah, from around the world. I do agree with you though, because I mean I've been a few times with my wife, who's got no interest whatsoever in my little toy soldiers, as she always tells me. But even she's been impressed when we've gone in the miniatures hall. Yeah. As you say, she's looked at, oh my god, I recognise the Lord of the Rings models, and oh, I recognise those Warhammer models, you've got them. But obviously they're much better painted than yours. But thanks for that, love. But yeah, I wouldn't pay $7.50 for her, but I would for me. Yeah. Because I'm obviously obsessed with it. I mean, it looked really good. There's just something about paying $7.50 for something that used to be free, and I know you get more for your money now. In terms of, there's now 5 exhibition halls, but there's just something about it where I kind of think, really?
The only thing is, I hope that they change the exhibits frequently enough, because I think because we go so often, it needs, if the exhibits change 2 or 3 times a year, like the big exhibits, because looking on Twitter, the massive dioramas that they've built, they look amazing.
Oh, they look fabulous. Yeah,
I will absolutely go and pay my money and go and be an absolute geek and spend an hour staring at those, because they look absolutely amazing. And the old one that they had, which was the I want to say Space Wolves.
It was Space Wolves and Tyranids, in the middle,
I mean, that was amazing. By all accounts, this is like 2 or 3 times the size.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
You see the photos of it.
And that you could go and you could spend a good half an hour looking at it and go back time and time again and find bits that you've not seen before, because there was that much going on within the diorama itself. But if it's the same stuff all the time, in like a year or two's time, I'm not going to want to go and pay to see that again. And the amount of new models that yes, there will be a lot of new models coming through because of the speed they're doing it, but I'm not sure I'd pay $7.50 to see 6 months worth of new releases.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, the understanding I've got, and obviously when we go to Warhammer World, we'll find out a bit more and ask around and stuff, is there's like an art exhibition up, and that will change quite regularly.
Yeah.
Whereas the actual models themselves will very rarely change, if you like, because obviously that's big, it's that detailed, and that much effort goes into it. But I mean, we will pay. To be honest. Oh yeah, we're going to pay. And the good thing, I suppose, is it's a day entry. It's not just a one-off entry. So you can go in, arrive in the morning, pay, get your entry, come out, set up your game, play a bit of games in the obviously the courtyard bit. Go to Bugman's and you can go back in the afternoon as well.
I was actually wondering if like 4 or 5 of us go down, if it is just a ticket. A couple of us go in.
What if they stamp your hand?
Well, this is what I'm wondering. If it is just a ticket, then I can see groups going, and it won't be $7.50 each, because you'll go.
We'll buy 2. Go in
pairs. At which point it's not a lot of money.
No, if you missed the Copyright Games Workshop's listening to this, we're not going to try this at all.
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
When we go down and they go, right, we need your photo, we need some form of ID.
We need your passport.
Yeah. We need to fingerprint scan you, and by the way, we need to swab your mouth for DNA. Then we know that they've listened to this.
Yes, probably. Or we're just banned. We're just banned when we turn up, probably. But, I mean, some of the other stuff that was there, I mean, obviously, just going through some of the things, they've got exclusive models now.
Yep.
Which, I mean, we've been again before, and they had exclusive Bugman's games and, models and stuff. But this is actually 40k models.
Yeah, I mean, they've always had the White Dwarf models, which are really nice, but they're quite limited, because even if you have a dwarf army, you don't really use the White Dwarf.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really fit a lot of those models into even a dwarf army because of the way they were designed. But these, with the HQ tanks, I mean, they're lovely looking models. I've got absolutely no idea if they're any better in game, or if they're any different from a standard tank, but they look pretty. Oh,
they do look pretty and stuff. And I mean, we just had a quick look on eBay as well, and they're up to £80 now with 6 days to go. And I do wonder, is there going to be some student who's gone to Nottingham University?
He's going to fund his way to university.
Pretty much. He's going to pop in twice a week, buy another 10 of them, and sell them to people in America and Australia and stuff. Because I think there will be demand for it, especially 40k Space Marines are just sold out straight away. Whether it's any better in game, that's a different question, but certainly they look very pretty. I just wonder whether I can do anything for Horus Heresy with them. Probably not.
They're a bit too 40k for Horus Heresy, aren't they?
Yeah.
A few too many Aquillas and Shrines, I think, for 30k. I mean, the other main thing from the open day was literally the big guy, possibly larger than some of the children who were there. The Warlord Titan, which apparently sold out within 6 minutes.
Well, my saying they only had 6 of them.
Yeah. So, but just I mean, that sounds quite impressive, but then we'll talk about this at the club on Sunday, so just think about this for a moment. So what you had to do to get one of those Titans, you had to get to the Forge World, to the Warhammer World Open Day early enough to be at the front of the queue.
Okay.
You then, as soon as it opened, had to run to the Forge World counter and present.
What? Geeks used to run.
Yes, wow.
You sure?
Waddle at a pace that was going to cause a massive coronary, and then present a credit card, not even knowing how much it cost.
Of course, no one knew, did they?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, give me one now.
Wow, and it was £1,250?
£1,250.
Jeez, man.
That's more than my car costs.
Now, I'll tell you one thing, because I saw some of the photos, and you might disagree with me now, it wasn't as big as I was expecting. And the reason why I say that is because, wasn't it the old Eldar, the huge one they brought out? And it's in the Forge World shop now in Warhammer World. You see a massive one, and that looks a lot bigger than this Titan does.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see. But, I mean, if you think about it, the Titans I always get my Titans mixed up. The Revenant Titans.
Oh, there's pressure now.
That they had in the cases in the old exhibition hall. They weren't always fully assembled because they wouldn't fit.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure on more than one occasion when they jigged stuff around, they had basically the legs and then the body was separate because they couldn't physically fit because of where the shells were. I mean, they were huge. They are massive things, and then this is easily head and shoulders, if not more. Above.
I mean, I did see the photos, and it looked like it was someone's waist to their head. If you like, like a human, it was like 3 or 4 foot.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw that one as well, and it's one of those things. It's like you don't know how far away that person was standing. It's a bit of a Father Ted thing, isn't it?
This is near. This is far away.
If you're not from the UK, Google it.
Yeah, Father Ted near far away perspective or something.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. But yeah, I just think it's amazing. It's like I'll never be able to afford one. I'll never be able to, even if I could afford them, I'll never be able to justify owning them.
Exactly, I think that's the thing. I know these people bought them and stuff, and I can imagine they'd be amazing to own, and you paint them up, and you put them in a pride place in your house or whatever it is, but when are you ever going to use them? This is the thing.
Well,
I suppose that doesn't bother some people, does it?
Thing is though, I mean, you imagine, like, if I did have one, and I say to you, do you fancy a game? Right. What do you want to do? Like, I'll bring the Warlord Titan.
Wow.
You bring anything you want. See if you can take it down.
I would bring 3,000 D weapons. I'd still not be able to take it down, probably.
But, it's... When you're getting up to things like Titans, you're getting to the point where, with 40k, especially now moving a lot, I think a lot more going forward, the way Games Workshop want you to play it is they want you to sit down with your opponent beforehand and have a conversation and talk about the type of game that you're going to play. And to an extent, Games Workshop have already done that for you because they have the standard Force Orgs. So you can just turn up with one of those and it's almost like you've had the conversation already because you've both agreed to bring a standard Force Org, sure. But with the likes of like the Titans and anything that's sort of apocalypse scale, you need to sit down and have that conversation probably a couple of weeks before you want to play. What we're going to do, what scenario are we going to have? Because it may be you go, well, I've got this piece of terrain with a massive gun on it, and I've got this knight, and I've got this tank, and I've got this. Like, right, well, you bring that, and that's still not quite even, so I'll do this to the Titan, or I'll start it off with a few whole points off, and you have that conversation beforehand, and that could be a really fun game. Obviously, if some guy at the club puts a post up on the forum and says anybody wants a 2,750 points, I think it was, game, and I go, yeah, I'll do that, and I turn it with a Tyson, I'm just going to ruin his day.
You'll be the douche.
Yeah.
You will be a douche.
But that's not what it's designed for.
No, it would be amazing, but I don't know whether I'd even put it in my car for transport.
Well,
I think the seatbelt might crush it, or it might crush me if I crash and it comes in the back of my seat.
I think you don't want to have to buy a child seat for it.
I think you would, actually, yeah.
I have before driven to the club with my Stomper model sat in the front passenger seat by the side of me.
Did you go in the 2+ passenger lane in the car?
Possibly I could have got away with it, but no. But and this is bigger than that. I think
it's huge.
Transport. I think the biggest issue with it is if you buy one, you're going to want a Titan Legion. This is serious crack here. I bought one. That's all I've got, and then you're going to sit there, get it painted up, and go. But if I had a couple of Revenants on either side, it looks so much better.
But if
if I had a few Warlords moving around its legs.
If you're one of these 6 people, though, you've already got those Titans. These 6 people are queued up, definitely.
They've already got that. They've already got all the knights around it. And, but can you imagine how pretty that would look?
Oh, amazing! I'd love it, but it's never ever going to happen.
No.
because I'd rather go to Florida or something on holiday.
Yeah. Or buy a new car.
Or buy a new car, something real life. The other thing that was out as well was Forge World paints.
Yeah.
The airbrush paints. I know it was limited, but they will come on general sale soon. And I think this is fantastic because when we started the Horus Heresy, probably in the last year or so, we really kicked it off. I actually wanted Sons of Horus Legion.
And then you looked and went, how the hell do I do that colour?
And I went, how the hell do I do that colour? So I went Death Guard because I thought, right, I understand Death Guard, it's white, it's green.
Yeah.
I've not really painted the White Army, and it's worked, and I'm looking at it right now on my shelf, it works, it looks nice. But if this was then, I probably would have gone with the Sons of Horus, but I was too scared in a way to be able to paint it.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few legions which were quite difficult. I mean, the other one is the Alpha Legion. I'm pretty sure I looked at the paints that there wasn't an Alpha Legion specific
Or
one.
was there?
Well, exactly. This is it. And I'm kind of quite pleased if there isn't, that they've still kept that enigma of nobody quite knows what colour they are or how to actually paint them. But, I mean, I'm in a bit of a quandary now because I mean, we'll get onto this later. I'm rebooting my Night Lord's army.
Oh, right, okay.
Because after like, I think probably 2.5 years of being really frustrated and not being able to get the colour I wanted, I remember the other day that I now have an airbrush.
You remember? You remember? It's not just a nice souvenir that sits on the shelf somewhere.
Well, no, it's honestly, I painted all this different stuff with it, but I'd stopped doing the Night Lords and put them to one side.
Ah, okay.
A good year before I bought it.
Right, oh, I see.
And then I sort of had the Night Lord models because I was thinking of doing something with it, and then I had the airbrush, and I had that moment of going, I've got both of these now.
2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah. So I've painted up a couple of test models how I know Games Workshop have painted the Night Lord models that you see on, Forge World have painted the Night Lord models you see on this site, which is a metallic silver paint, and then the blue glaze from Games Workshop over the top applied with an airbrush.
Okay.
I had tried doing that with a brush.
Right.
And it's a ridiculously long, laborious task that will take you well over a week to do a single unit, and you'll still get the odd brush stroke.
So just out of interest, because obviously I'm quite an airbrush noob, if you like, and stuff. Does it look the same once finished, and it just takes longer to do it with a brush, or can you actually tell the difference between?
For me, it looks better with the airbrush.
Okay.
Now I know Dan's doing pretty much the same thing with his Imperial Fists.
Oh, is that with the yellow, is it?
But with the yellow, this is how he's getting this golden yellow colour. Dan is a much better painter, technically much better painter, and has a lot more patience than I do. So I suspect if you were to compare an airbrush one to the one Dan's done, I'd expect you wouldn't be able to tell a difference. But I could always see with mine that it wasn't quite right, and I just got frustrated with it, and it just put me off. So I took out a Night Lord model, cracked open the airbrush, and something that would have taken me a good week, probably a week and a half, of applying a glaze, leaving it overnight to dry, applying another glaze, leaving it overnight to dry. Took me about 3 minutes.
Oh wow! Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to try these paints when they're available and stuff. And as I say, when we go to Warhammer World, if they're there, I'm going to buy a few, because what I do want to do is get, even just buy like Loken or something. Just to get them painted up and stuff. So I will buy some, probably. Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said, this puts me in a bit of a quandary now, because I've just figured out how...
Ooh, decision time.
This is the thing. I've just figured out how to paint them the way that I've always wanted to paint them. And now they've brought out a paint that's called Night Lords, which, when I was looking at it, because I've only seen obviously, probably an iPhone photo of the colour swatches.
Yes, that's what I was seeing.
In what looked to be quite a dark room. But it looked a really dark colour, and the way the Night Lords come out, the way I do it, is quite a brighter blue.
Oh, okay. Are you sure what they've not done is get one tub of blue glaze, a tub of lead belcher, and sort of mix them into one?
I think I'm gonna have to wait and see. I'm gonna end up buying some, and
I think you've got to just
and
try
seeing
it out.
what it looks like and seeing if I prefer it. But I am at the moment really happy with my Night Lords colour now, which is why in a week I've gone from having a unit to I've pretty much got a 2,500 point army at home.
Oh really? That quick? Wow.
Well, it's one of those things I started saying about collecting them, and people started going, I've got these models that I've not really used and I want rid of, and I've got these, and through a few trades and buying a few models of few things off people, I've just ended up with pretty much the army I wanted.
Oh, nice. Is this for the Horus Heresy campaign next year?
Yes. So I just need to wait until we go down to Warhammer World to get the Night Hunter and Servitor model, and then I need to sign up quick so I can.
So you can bank for them, yeah, definitely. Well, I think when we go, I'm just going to buy some more heavy weapon squads as well with missile launchers. I'm looking at my shelf right now to see what do I actually need. Oh yeah, I need more of them. The big guns. And the other thing that was there, Warhammer World, with the photos. I don't want to go into too much depth. I've got to say it was Warhammer was on round bases.
You do realise the internet now just ended.
The world's over.
It's all Simon's fault. I'm sure Games Workshop are doing this now just to play with people's minds.
I would love this, that they've gone, oh my god guys, I keep reading these forums, everyone's kicking off, what we need to do is take some of our models, glue them around, and just put them out there. It would be
try
brilliant.
zooming in to see if there was just blue tacked on.
That would be brilliant. I would worship Games Workshop even more if that was the case and stuff. It's brilliant. But, I mean, I've seen some comments on Twitter where people said, we asked people who work there, what's going on with it, and the responses were all along the lines of, it's not for the game, it's just for the look of it, how it looks and stuff. So I think the honest answer is, don't know yet. We'll just have to wait and see. But
I mean, it does have to be said, as an individual model looks much better on a round base than it does on a square base.
Particularly the big ones.
Yes.
Because I saw some like Carnosaurs and obviously the Screaming Bell and stuff. And the big ones do, even I admit that. I just have to wait and see how if that's true, how they rank up, or whether there is even ranks anymore going forward. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm not that worried, actually. I'm looking forward to a recharge of Warhammer, because it's been quite a few years now. I think 8th has now not run its course, but you know what to expect, especially when you go to an 8th tournament.
Well, I think the problem is now, 8th's reached that point of every person you talk to who plays Warhammer says the same thing. They don't want to invest at the moment.
Yes.
So it's grown very stale, because nobody's wanting to now look and go, I've got a really fantastic idea, I'm going to do this army, because nobody knows if that army is going to be legal or even on the right base.
Yeah, well,
what now? You're probably looking at about a month's time.
Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat, actually, because, I've started using Law of Undeath for some games, and I borrow undead models, and I don't want to buy any, because I'm thinking, do I put them on round bases? Do I put them on square?
Is the Law of Undeath in 9th
does it even
edition?
exist in 9th and stuff? So it's things like that as well. So even I've been put off. I mean, I've still painted a few up just because I quite like the models, but yeah, even I'm in that same boat. And I have noticed when you look at like the Warhammer forum, there's a lot less tournaments and things being run now. It's like everyone sort of paused for a breath to go, what's coming? And there we go.
Which I mean, I don't think will necessarily be a bad thing long term, because I mean, I've taken about, well, it was a good 12 months getting on for 18 month break from Warhammer now, because I've burnt myself out, because it was all we played from 8th edition coming out to essentially just over a year ago, and I burnt out. And I stopped, meaning to stop for a few months, and then the gash came out, and the whole end time thing kicked off, and kind of thought, I'll just wait and see. And then it reached the point, I think the 3rd end times book in, where I was just like, nobody knows what the hell's going on. I can't start anything now, because I don't even know if next month it'll be what I think it's going to be.
Course.
But I think it'll be a nice refresh. Everybody's had that time to sort of take that step back, to not really play a lot, and then when it does come out, because let's face it, whatever it is, unless you have decided now that you're going to hate it, which some people have.
Mention no names.
Well, some people did 7th or 8th.
Well, yeah.
Loads of people. 7th edition turns to 8th edition, loads of people left the hobby. Loads of people went off and played War Machine, few people went to 40k, some people just left. But most people went, this is really good.
Well, I think, as a general agreement, when you read forums or whatever, 8th seems to be one of the most loved versions of it of all time, basically.
And I think it'll be the same if we look back in 2 or 3 years' time. 2 or 3 years into 9th edition, everybody will be like, this is amazing. Whatever it is. But at the same time, it's that period of uncertainty. Yeah. And I think we will lose people. There will be people who go, that's it, I'm out.
Well, I think that's the gamble they're taking, isn't it? I mean...
but it will bring fresh blood in.
That's the gamble they're taking.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, like 40k did with 6th edition,
Yeah,
it came out,
2 years later.
and quite quickly they went, right, let's move on to 7th. Let's pretend that never happened. Let's just move on and fix some of the issues and stuff. But I like how we've gone from a Warhammer World open day to, oh my god, round bases falling in.
But I still hold, and I'm calling it here, 9th edition opens with Teclis waking up in the shower. And if you're under the age of 30, go on Wikipedia and look at Dallas and JR to understand that reference.
What, this is just Teclis' nightmare?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's all about. Okay.
Because otherwise, the Warhammer World has ended.
Well, yeah. But we'll see.
This is a sort of discussion for another time, but
It is.
like I say, I'm calling that Teclis in the shower.
I think what I'm really looking forward to, and we'll definitely record this when we all get together, is when 9th comes out, to actually read the fluff that's in the 9th rulebook and say, does it actually make sense? Because we've all read the end times. Does it make sense now following on, or does it carry on, or is it you say, always pretend that never happened and reset button?
But again, that's really good because I'll put my hands up and say, I've never read I've got the big red book. I don't think I've read any of the fluff. Maybe a bit of it because I already know it.
Oh, okay.
Because it hasn't changed for
25 years?
Yeah, well, 25 years ago it was different, but it's not really changed much. But, you know, this was the first sort of major, massive change since they did the Storm of Chaos thing. And I think there will be a lot more people who will get the book, and rather than flicking straight to the rules, will flick straight to the background and go, right, what's going on?
Oh, yeah, I mean...
what's happening?
Absolutely.
I can imagine more discussions in the first, 6 hours of it, from it being released about
the fluff and the rules. Yeah, no, definitely.
Which, from Games Workshop's point of view, is what they want, because they've said all along it's a
fun game, it's a tournament game.
It's a hobby, it's a background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hobby and background, this last weekend as well was the End Times Apocalypse Then campaign weekend.
Run by Dan Quirk,
one of the guys of this podcast and stuff. So we were in Stockport at the Northwest Gaming Centre, and I went over 3 days. So Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday night was an initial Regiment of Renown. Which, if you've not played it, it's actually quite a little quick fun game. So we had 4 games of that. There was 100 points each side. You buy individual models. He did cap it at 4 games this time. So last time he did the campaign, I think we had 6 or 7. But it basically meant your free hero. Because what happens basically is the leader of your warband or your regiment, you get him as an additional character for the weekend. Because it's all storyline driven. It's like he led your scouting force and now he's leading your general into battle because he knows, obviously, he scouts ahead and things.
Or if you don't think it through properly, as James did in the first one of these, Dan ran your skink on a pterodon ends up with getting 2 leadership buffs, which actually puts the general, and it's then a flying leader, so he can't join any other unit.
Well, I think this is why he capped it this time. A, to stop silly things like that, but also because it made free super characters for people.
Yeah. Because
they were having 2 weapon skill, 2 strength, 2 toughness, extra wounds and stuff like whoa. So better than your lord you've just paid 400 points for. So there were 12 of us on the Friday night. We did those 4 games, and then obviously we all broke up and came back Saturday morning. So just to explain, if you've never been to a campaign weekend, it's definitely not a tournament. Definitely, as we kept being reminded. It is all about the story, and you're in teams for the weekend. So it doesn't matter whether you personally win every game. It doesn't matter whether your team personally wins every game. You've got to meet the objectives for the tournament.
It should also say as well that the teams themselves are themed around the campaign, aren't they? So
yes.
You've got different factions within the campaigns who have different objectives, who want to achieve different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we met on the Saturday morning, he split it into our team. So there was the Chaos team, which was your demons and your Chaos warriors, and their objectives over the weekend were to get kills in combats, challenges, and the more wounds they caused, the more likely they were to be able to summon exalted greater demons over the weekend. You had your Forces of Light, which was your Empire, Bretonia, and their objectives were things like taking whole buildings, whole table quarters, because you're trying to fight off the end times and protect the lands of men, etc. You had other mercenaries, what were called as the good mercenaries. So they were a mixture of dwarfs with an ogre and undead, because obviously they eventually become good with under Nagash. And again, they were hold certain things and do their objectives. And then you had myself on our team, which was chaotic mercenaries, which was basically team ogres. That number of ogres play. So we all went on the bad side. We'd been hired by Archaon for the weekend, and ours were things like how many units you could chase down through combat, which was quite annoying to start with, because you're like, I've won combat. Oh, I've won combat. I haven't actually got anyone to chase. I've actually killed them out. And also cast a lot of spells, obviously to try and bring Tzeentch into the world. We've cast a lot of spells and stuff. So we all went into our teams, and we had our team captain. And throughout the weekend, you get to play tactics, if you like. So you've always got to play one of your special objectives for each round of games. So these are things like kill the general, which is quite simple, through to capture buildings, hold table courts, hold the centre of the table, have more wizards by the end of the game than your opponents, etc. And in addition, each team nominated the captain, and the captain had to decide who was playing where. So the way it worked basically was, say it was chaos against the good guys, and they were given their 5 tables, and then you had to decide who was playing on what table. So the tables range from obviously open terrain to really dense cities and hills and trees and forests. We had like Atul Loren with just trees everywhere. So it was quite good, and as well as putting people on so they weren't playing in the same place twice, you had to work out saying, well, Batonia, I'm going to go on the table with full of trees, or would they just play my games? So that was really good. I mean, some of the armies there were absolutely fantastic. I think we put a number of photos on Twitter, and we'll add them to the blog if you've not seen them. But there's one guy who brought his dwarf army with a dwarf airship, and he's made this thing that is Warlord Titan size. Actually, it's absolutely huge, and the rules for it, I didn't realise how nasty it was. You can't charge it, you can't do anything. You've got to shoot it. You've got to get that thing down. But it was just amazing to see this one on the tabletop and stuff. But because Dan obviously wrote a lot of theme lists, so it's not just, oh, here's my generic Dark Elves. It's Cult of Slanesh comes up, and they have different rules. It's not just Ogre Kingdoms. I had the Manny to Warband, so they're not allowed to take, your Morfangs, your Iron Guts, your normal things, your cannons, etc. They have to take different things for their Manitas and stuff. So in my list, for example, I had the Dread Saurian. Amazing model. It's huge. Didn't do so well over the weekend.
I'm going to hazard a guess at the sitting game.
Well, it scared a lot of people. But the trouble with it is, it's the same with any big character. You charge it in, you flop your attacks, and you go, oh, you've got 3 ranks of standard. Right, okay, so I've lost by combat res, and I'm only leadership 6. Ah, right, so it might be ethereal and the big monster, but I'm running away now. You run away, you 2d6, you get caught, and you get killed. And I think in the 4 games I used it, I think it died to combat res 3 times. Pretty much. The best I had all weekend, and I've got to tell you this because I loved it, was I was playing a Chaos Dwarf player who had 2 Kadai destroyers on his army. Bear in mind, this is a nice fluffy campaign weekend, 2 Kadais. And he goes, right, we're going for a big fight here. I'm charging your Ethereal Dread Saurian. Have you got magic attacks on them? They've got flaming attacks, not magical. So basically, charge both into there.
I realised that.
I realised you couldn't do anything. So I was like, well, my attacks do D3 wounds each and a strength 8. Yeah, I've got a couple of attacks in each. Right, just won that combat, basically. That was the best I had with them all weekend. Because you saw the guy, you saw like, yeah, double chip. Oh, yes, that's not magical.
I'm questioning that because it is a demon, isn't it?
No, but when you read it,
Forge rules.
It's got the demon rules for ward saves, and if it gets hit by things like Law of Light spells, but it says all of the attacks are counted as flaming. It doesn't say magical attacks. Because it's a iron-bound demon or something. So it's got a lot of flaming stuff, but no magical attacks. So over the course of the games, it was 3,000 points. There were a couple of games throughout the weekend where we did tag teams. So the first game Saturday morning was a 1,500 point list only, against obviously 1,500 points. And the first game on Sunday was, where I think it was Battle Brothers. So it was 2 1,500 point lists to make one 3K. It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, everyone who was there, no one was too gamey, no one was too, filthy in your face and stuff. And in fact, I'd say probably 90% of the people there had theme lists as well. Absolutely fantastic. And I mean, when we came to the best painted nominations, there were 5 guys. And I mean, some of these armies obviously we've seen before, they're absolutely fantastic. Like Kev Stonebank's Bretonia is really, really nice. Adam Turner's Ogres, he's just always there with his Ogres, the undead ones. And at 3,000 points, he has a lot of undead MSU Ogres. And Ming won Best Painted, that's Bretonia. Absolutely lovely to see these armies again and stuff. And a really good standard of what was there. I think it's because it's a campaign weekend. People put more effort into it in a way. It's not just, I've got to get these 20, Ironbreakers painted and ranches filed.
Because at the moment, these are the best units in the game to counter this. It is because this theme list, I need these models. And quite often as well, the way Dan's written it, there's normally 1 or 2 units in a theme list that you wouldn't normally take.
No,
if you're writing a filthy tournament list, you're like, wouldn't ever take that.
No, absolutely. It's really good for that. I mean, for example, in my man-eaters, people go, "What? You think man-eaters is cool? Whoa, that's amazing!" Until you realise the 50 points each basic. You've got no cannons. You've got no Mornfang. You've got no, great weapon iron guts. Suddenly, quickly, it comes, what do we deal with? Big things, and how do we get around? And, you've got units of 400 points, which has got 6 models in. And you go, the toughness 4 with light armour? Right, okay, so they're going down quite quick as well. So, it was absolutely fantastic, the games and stuff. And, I don't want to go into every in-depth thing and stuff, but, of course, the weekend, I actually ended up on the winning team with the Chaotic Mercenaries. And we had 3 ogre players, a goblin for the Red Gobbo's army, woo, and a Skaven player. So the story was, if you like, in the storyline was the Skaven had hired us all to work on behalf of Archaon and stuff. And we didn't actually finish top on battle points. So we didn't win as many games as other people. But what we did do was our objectives throughout the weekend. And this is what I'm saying about being a campaign, not a tournament. Because we'd hit our objectives, we'd cast a lot of spells, we'd run down units, we actually ended up winning the campaign, if you like. Because there were some games where, for example, I was playing a high elf player, and he had his Dragon Knights. I can't remember what they're called now. Dragon Princes. I was thinking they're not called Dragon Knights, Dragon Princes. So we had a bus of them with his BSB in, his Lord was in there. He had a wizard and all the rest of it. Well, you eventually get to run them down. You get them 1 unit, which is a point for us, and 3 characters, which is another 3 points for us. So it's one of those things. The units you did get to run down, you also got the bonus characters in them, because you tend to have in these campaigns not many units. You tend to have a lot of characters around in them because it's all story driven, etc. as well. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. I know Dan's doing another one, Bank Holiday weekend, which is on the Warhammer forum. I will plug it on his behalf.
We're going to speak to Dan as well about putting a blog post up for each of his events with the pack linked as well, so it's easier to find if you listen to the podcast. But yeah, I mean, Dan runs a fantastic campaign weekend. The fantasy ones are amazing. The Horus Heresy ones are amazing, and if you can get to the venue, it is well worth it. It is so much more fun than playing a 6-game tournament to play.
It depends what you're looking for, really. But if you've never been to a tournament, it's a brilliant way to get into it. If you are sick and annoyed of, facing 20 warlocks or double iron blasters every single game and things, again, it's a nice break from it. The pressure's not always on. You're actually allowed to smile with your opponents and play the game together.
It's that thing of you play the game with your opponent, not against them.
Yes, yeah.
Which, is quite a sort of slim distinction at times, but it really makes a difference. Especially in that's why I think we love the 30k Horus Heresy stuff, and a lot more than the 40k stuff, because it is a game that you play with your opponent rather than against them, because the nature of it lends itself to it so much more so than sort of even a friendly game of 40k does. I would never dream of going to a 40k event.
No?
but the idea of I'd go to Heresy once this weekend if I could.
Well, I'm still looking at the one in August, if I can, in Cardiff, which is the first weekend in there. I know it's been run by Greg Dan from but the issue I've got is the hotel at the moment, because it's the same weekend as Wales and the World Cup in the rugby. And I was looking at Premier Inn in Cardiff, it's £300 one night. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I know because I'm from Hereford, which is about an hour and a half further north than Cardiff. It's a bad enough journey getting there on a Friday night from Leeds. It's and then you've got to get into Cardiff. Cardiff's a bit of a strange city because it's a capital city, but it doesn't necessarily have the infrastructure of a capital city at times.
Right.
So, I mean, it's been years since I've been, and it might have got better, but I do remember the traffic being awful the last time I tried to get in on a Friday night.
I mean, I was looking, saying, should I just try and get one night in the hotel and drive Saturday morning at like 3, 4 in the morning?
I was going to say, the time you're going to have to set off.
It's just, no.
It's just that little bit too far for it to be doable on sort of anything other than a 2-day stay, I think.
But I'd love to do it, and we are still looking. There's a couple of us still looking if there's a way that we can do it or afford it, and we may end up youth hosteling or something for the weekend.
Have you looked at campsites?
Yeah, we may do something like that actually, because hopefully that time of year it should be quite nice weather.
But again, you've possibly got every single rugby fan in the world doing the same thing.
You know what? I don't mind sitting on a campsite. What I do mind staying next to is loud, drunken, sweary rugby fans at 2 o'clock in the morning singing Welsh songs. You think, oh no, just want to sleep.
Do you know who they're playing? Because it can be potentially a lot worse than that.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah.
I wonder what you meant then. No, it'll be someone in the World Cup. I don't know. Obviously it'll be someone in the World Cup. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But no. So Dan's next one is August Bank Holiday weekend. He has said it'll be 9th edition, unless 9th edition's rubbish, in which case it'll still be the last hurrah of 8th edition. So I know he's put that up on the Warhammer forum now and stuff, but the pack again, he's added even more lists to it now. And it's one of those things, if you've got a great idea for a list and you think, I really want to take a Minotaur army, well, someone asked him that and he's put a Minotaur list in the pack and he's tried to balance it out and think it through and stuff. So again, if you're out there and you think, I really want to take a Halfling army, and I'm saying that because I really want to take a Halfling army, then hopefully if Dan listens to this, we might get a Halfling list in there as well. But definitely worth checking out.
The thing is as well, Dan is happy for you to go, I'd quite like to do, this theme thing. This is kind of what I think the rules would be like, and you're looking and going, well, I'm not sure about that, maybe it should be this. And then you go away, you play test it, you come back and go, well, actually we played it, and this is a lot weaker than it seems like it should be, or this is a lot better than we thought it would be. Because I know with the Heresy one, because Dad's tried out the Blood Angels list. The first couple of games he had was under the original iteration of it, and it just turned out to be too good. So Dan then went back and toned it down slightly, and it's that sort of constant feedback thing, which means if you look and you go, I played a game against this list with my mate, and if I come up against that, I'm just going to get battered because it's awful. If you give Dan the feedback, he'll look at changing it.
No, absolutely. So I think what we're saying basically, if you're not obsessed by rankings, points, and tournaments and stuff, definitely give it a try. You won't regret it. Absolutely, it's an absolutely fantastic weekend. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, or should we just take a break?
Well, I was going to say, should we take a quick break and then we'll come back to what we're going to do next? Guild Ball.
Guild Ball, yeah. First impression of Guild Ball, then. See you soon.
Right, so Guild Ball.
Guild Ball, #Excite. I do a proper Excite for this game. I am quite loving it and stuff. So, for those who don't know what Guild Ball is, it was set up on Kickstarter start of last year. I think it was start of last year, no?
Yeah.
Must have been start of 2014, yeah. By what is now known as Steam Forge Games. It's the first game they've done. A lot of people say it's War Machine Blood Bowl. And they're not a million miles off. But basically...
Yeah, that's quite a good description.
A good way of doing it. It's basically a sports war game but unlike Blood Bowl, which is American football, this is English football. This is soccer.
I was just going to say, if you listen to this in America, soccer.
Not soccer. Soccer.
I refuse to do that.
Oh, that might be an Irish thing.
Yeah.
I'm a king of accents. I just never know which one I'm doing at a time. Right now, I think I'm speaking Geordie. I think might not be. But anyway, so Guild Ball. So obviously it was kickstarted. You could have got the resin teams, and if you didn't Kickstarter, you can buy the metal teams and stuff. It's obviously now been released.
Yep.
It got released end of April, officially to the public. Finally, I know they had some delays over Christmas due to obviously unfortunate circumstances in the casting world and stuff. But it seems to be really well received, this game.
Yeah, they seem to have managed to do that quite rare thing with a Kickstarter game, which is people seem to actually be buying it now that it's been released.
Yeah.
Because I've seen loads of... I actually looked at backing it as a Kickstarter, and I didn't, because I've never backed a Kickstarter, because I always look and think, 6 months' time when this is released, is anybody actually going to play it?
Yeah.
And I've been pleasantly surprised with this, that not only are people actually playing with the stuff they got on the Kickstarter, but people do actually seem to be going out and buying the game and playing it who didn't get in on the Kickstarter. Which, like I say, I can't really think of another game that's come from nothing, launched itself, and has managed to pull that off, which is really good.
Yeah, because some companies use Kickstarter almost as like a pre-order system, but this is a true fresh out the box, new company, new game. This is what Kickstarter's meant to be for.
And I know because we've talked to the guys involved in it, because they're based over in Stockport, where we obviously we go quite often. We go over to play at the gaming centre, and that's where they're based. That they've launched it on Kickstarter, but they're not going to be doing we need to do a new team, we're going to Kickstart it, because now they've launched it, they've set up their company, and now they're funding it as a proper company. Which is good, which is really good. Has to be said, absolutely fair play to them, because there are a lot of companies who do just seem to be using Kickstarter as sort of quite a lazy way of
doing like advanced pre-orders.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's how Mantic seems to have gone with pretty much everything, which I know from having spoken to a couple of retailers, they're not very happy with, because they never sell any Mantic stuff other than zombies anymore, because people always just pre-order it when it comes out.
No, absolutely.
Which is probably great for Mantic, but it's not. It doesn't really grow the sort of independent retailer market, which obviously, as wargamers, we need the independent retailer market.
Yeah. I mean, one of the good things I know Rich from Guild Ball has said is that their items will always be slightly cheaper from independent retailers. So if you actually go onto the Guildball.com website, their prices are slightly higher than if you went to...
Well, their prices are the actual RRP, aren't they?
Yes, but they've always said they'll be always higher than what they obviously should sell in other places. So whether you go to... I don't want to give free advertising and all the rest of it, but for the one person who listens, our listener. But whether you go to Element or The Outpost or Firestone Games and stuff, they're always slightly cheaper and stuff. And again, they've said one of the things we want to promote is the independent retailer, not pre-order system through Kickstarter, which is absolutely fantastic. But I'm one of those people who saw it on Kickstarter and refused to touch it with the barge pole. I refused to touch it with the barge pole for two reasons, really. The first one is what you sort of thought, well, no one's going to play it. And the reason why I thought no one's going to play it, I thought, is because I struggle now to get people to play Blood Bowl enough. And I've already got Blood Bowl, so why do I need Guild Ball? So it's one of those things, I didn't back it, and then we were at an event in Stockport, and the guys were there. I mean, there was originally Aegon back in the start of the year, and Rich and the team and Byron and stuff were doing like open sessions, like examples of the cast of the models to see the quality of them. They were doing demo games, etc. as well. So I had a little game. I was like, oh, I quite like this. This is quite good. So I've ended up buying a whole team, the extra player for the team, the extra mercenary players for the team, the dice for the team. I've gone full nuts on this game, but absolutely loving it. So I think probably what we need to do is, rather than just ramble on in general, is probably go through bit by bit with it. So
yeah, I mean, let's start with probably the thing that makes it stand out for most of the war games. A full game, 6 models.
Yeah. Now, it's 6 models in a team, so for those who've not looked, each team, there's more than 6 models, or for most of them there's more than 6 models, but you pick which 6 you want to take. So already, it's quite good because you can sort of customise your team a little bit.
So it does mean that you can get into it with, you only need to buy, you only need to build, and you only need to paint 6 models.
Yeah, it's
which is
effort.
A really low entry point, which is why, because I mean, I brought, because Dan backed Kickstarter and he got 2 teams, and I brought his spare team off him.
Oh, okay.
Which is how I've got into it. So I've got a full team, and it's like, well, I've got a full team. I don't need to now buy any more models. I've got all the models I need. I've got all the rules, you know, I need, because it's a game system, if you haven't seen it, that comes with cards, same as War Machine, same with Malifaux. So you've got all the special rules and stuff for your characters, and all the details of the house points and everything else on a card. Which, again, when you're only using 6 models, makes it really easy.
No, it does, and it also means you can, in a way, spend more time painting them as well to a better standard, because all 6 are lords and generals, all characters. And that's one of the things they've done. They've not called it generic, you know, like, unlike Blood Bowl, which I will refer to quite a lot on this. It's not generic lineman, blitzer, thrower. It's, for me, I've got the butchers, I've got ox, I've got boar, I've got boiler.
Yeah, they are all named characters, including the mascots.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really nice touch. So it just, again, you've got 6 players on the team, but actually it's 5-side football, because one of the players is a mascot.
Yes. Yeah.
And the mascots are like little models. So it's like, I brought the alchemists off Dan.
Okay.
Mine is like a little robot.
Oh.
You've got a little dog, haven't you?
I've got the butcher's dog for the butcher's princess.
There's a team of builders who have
the Masons.
Masons who have a monkey.
Have a monkey?
Which we couldn't figure out. All the other ones are quite linked to like the idea of, so you know, butchers have a dog.
Yeah.
Alchemists kind of
Fishermen have an otter.
Scientists, you know, have a little robot, and then Masons have a monkey. Which
all I could think of genuinely was they'd gone, where's there like really big walls and I know there's a big thing in Gibraltar with monkeys on it. That's sort of big and like a wall made of stone. Right, we'll put monkeys on.
Yeah, I don't know what you could have actually used for the Masons. You don't, if you say like bricklayers, you don't immediately think of an animal or a.
Well, they are animals, because
but yeah, so essentially you are playing 5-side football, and you've also got a mascot. But the mascot is essentially a buff character, isn't he? Because
I mean, obviously, when you start looking at the rules, you go, right, okay, so it seems really simple and basic, and actually it is simple, and that's one of the good things about it. They've got this system where basically just say, how many dice do you always have for this particular character, and then you got to hit certain numbers. So if you're hitting a big character quite slow, it's 2+. You roll a lot of dice and you take ones away. And if you've got armor, you take a couple of hits away. Really, really simple. But as you say, with the mascots and also some of the character players, they tend to buff each other, and I think that's where it's going to come really interesting the more you play it and learn. It's who goes first, because the way it works as well is you don't have. Again, unlike Blood Bowl, the orc team goes, and the human team goes, and the orc team goes and stuff. It's one player goes.
It's individual model activation. So again, to put into another gaming system that people might have played recently, or seen played, it's like Malifaux, or it's like Dark Age.
Yeah.
It's like 40k Epic, if you ever played that, where, you know, I activate a single model, that model does its activations. Simon then activates one of his models that does its activations, but because you have like zone effects on some models in terms of how they buff or debuff other models, how you activate, which one you move first, where you move it in relation to other models, suddenly starts to have quite a major play. So the rules themselves are really simple, but then you start adding on this layer above it of interactions, which gives you a really nice, really varied game. It does feel like I've not managed to get a game, but I've watched you play a couple so far.
Yeah.
and it does feel very much a cross between War Machine and Malifaux.
Oh, okay.
In that it's this, each model has effects on other models.
Yeah.
How you move your models then have effects on your opponent's models, and it also kind of gives this almost sort of chess feel of, well, I'm going to move that model there, which is then going to debuff your model. Right? Well, I then need to move that model away from that model.
Yeah.
You know, and there's that kind of interplay as well. So it does feel like when we've actually got to properly grips with it, you could go, well, I'm going to move my model to here because I know that'll force you to move your model away from it.
Yeah, because
I know that you want your model to be here because you want it to interact with that one which is there, which is sort of really nice. And again, because there's only 6 models on the field, although that sounds quite complicated, there's only 6 models.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whereas War Machine you can play 50 points, which is actually 20 plus models, each doing this in different ways to different things. You've got 6 models.
Absolutely, and I think that's why I'm really excited about this game and why I think it's been taken up, because it's quite simple to learn the rules, but actually there's a lot of depth to it, and I think that's all the best games have. It's simple to learn, difficult to master, as they always say, because you've got to learn who does what to who.
Yes.
Not just in your team, but how to stop the other team, and because everyone has the named characters, you should start learning that. And one of the good things that I do think they've done is, and they've always said, is they'll supply the rules for everyone for free. So you can go onto guildball.com now and you can download the PDFs of the rulebook of all the player cards, so you can see what everyone does as well. And it actually scares me a little bit. So the games I've played so far, I'll touch wood now if I want to say it. I haven't lost a game yet, but I think I'm going to start losing games. So my team is the Butchers. So the Butchers is basically the extreme punch you in your face team. It doesn't score a lot of goals. So the way you win Guild Ball games is you've got to get so many points, and you get 4 points for scoring a goal, or you get 2 for basically taking someone off the pitch. If you do enough damage to them, you basically knock them out, take them off the pitch. And it's the first 12 wins, so it's 6 takeouts or 3 goals, basically is how you do it. And my team excels in the 6 knockouts, not the 3 goals, if you like. So mine's really quite simple to play the Butchers. And the games I've played is basically get in your face, don't let people run away, keep punching, keep punching, keep punching. Oh look, they're out, you've won. When everyone else starts to learn how to use their team properly, I think I'm going to get my ass kicked.
I think, because I know, because Fisher is strangely enough thinking about playing the Fisherman.
Yeah, I quite like that, good name.
And they are a very much agile, shooty, scurry team.
They're like the opposite end of the Butchers.
They're the complete polar opposite.
Scorers.
And I think if he learns and masters how they play, you would then really struggle because you'll never be able to.
How do we get hold of them?
Yeah.
It's like I played Dave, one of the guys from our club, who's got Morticians. So Morticians, their game is about negative play in a way. So their whole tactic is, I'll stop you playing your game. So they don't have like a big game themselves. It's, I'll stop you. I'll dodge out of your zone so you can't hit me. I'll take control and take control of one of your players and master of puppets and all the rest of it. But Dave, obviously, in his first game, he just came in for the fight. Well,
yeah, because that's what you always do. First
game, charge.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I knocked him out quite quickly. But even by the end of that game, he was learning. Well, I'll take control of your player, use him to do this, and then I'll dodge out so you can't attack me. You've wasted your influence for the turn. And again, it just worries me that I think everyone's going to start kicking my bottom soon, shall we say. But I am absolutely loving it. And while we're talking about the teams and the models and stuff, the models themselves, I'm loving the sculpts.
Yeah, I will say, because I've got the Alchemist, I have already had one model snap off its base.
Yeah.
I did do an unboxing video that's up on YouTube, and I did say, whilst doing the YouTube video with the one model, I think this model's going to come off its base. Because she's really dynamically posed, almost doing a dancing move. So she's basically up on point, on a belly point on one foot.
All right.
And that is the only point that is attached to the base.
Yeah, well, I saw this model of yours that snapped off, and the models themselves are fantastic to look at. They're really crisp, really detailed. I mean, when I bought them, I don't know about the Alchemist, but for the Butchers, there's basically no flash on them. It was just straight glue and stuff.
Fantastic to put together. No mould lines, but they are.
It's because of how they look so good. It's almost as though they said, let's really think and design them to look fantastic, and not think how do we keep them long term, if you like. How they last and stuff, because some of them have got such small touch points. Yeah, I mean, I've seen your snap already.
I mean, for me, I'm a relatively advanced modeler, so it's not a huge problem. I managed to use my pin vise and drill through this really tiny foot and pin it back to the base, and it'll be fine. It's a nice hard contact now, and her leg will snap before that goes.
Yeah.
But if it had been somebody who was relatively new to, especially these days, because there aren't that many metal models around anymore. Especially if you've come from playing Warhammer Fantasy. I'm old school. When I first started, it was lead. So
don't touch them.
Yeah, it's a case of right. You finish modelling for the day. Now go wash your hands. So I'm used to working with metal models. So I know how to pin, and I can pin quite, because from pinning like banners onto things and all, like I've got very good at pinning quite small things together. But if you don't have those skills and that is snapped, you couldn't just glue that model back to the base, because it would just come off every single time.
Yeah.
And that would be something which I could see really frustrating about putting somebody off the game. And all it needed was for her not to be up on belly point.
Just a flat foot,
but to be flat-footed,
rather than tip.
And it would still have been a very dynamic pose, not quite as dynamic, but much bigger contact. Caustic, my big guy. So basically, every team has a big guy.
Yes.
I don't know if they actually call them big guys, but they are big guys.
I think they do call them big guys.
If you look on the podcast blog, I've got a post up because he's the model I've painted so far. Because I'm taking my time painting them, I'm going to, as I paint each one, I'm painting them individually, because they are really nice models to paint.
Yeah.
So I'll put a post up when I do every one. But again, he's a massive lump of metal on one foot.
Yes.
And he's not on one complete foot on the ground. Again, he's in a dynamic pose, and he's running properly, and he's running heel foot, and he's on his heel. So his heel's on the ground.
Right.
The front of his foot's slightly off. So it's a reasonable amount of metal, because obviously he's quite a big model. But it's still, for the size of the model, not a particularly large amount.
Yeah, I mean...
And I'm just looking at him and thinking... I mean, as it is, I packed green stuff around the base of the foot, because I've then put a load of static graphs so you can't see underneath.
I've done that in every one of mine, green stuff.
So, I've strengthened it before I've even begun, because I've looked and gone, I think that could be an issue.
Yeah.
But, again, that's one of those things where you can see, if you've not got somebody who's that used to working with metal, because it's not an issue with plastic. It's like... You look at the new, like, 40k Harlequin models, and they're not even...
They're on a fingertip or something after it, yeah.
But it works because they're plastic. But, with the metal ones, you need that bit more support. And it's just that I could see some people who aren't that used to working with metal models being put off by that. I think if I'd have had them in resin, it wouldn't be an issue, because they're that much lighter.
Yeah, but I know the resin was only Kickstarter exclusive, and it was twice the price.
It was a lot more. Yeah,
it was a lot more.
But I do know, because I have looked before at the costs of actually making moulds, that it is significantly more expensive to cast resin.
Oh, I mean, if you're properly into it and stuff, obviously it's much better quality for a lot of people. But for those mere mortals who did back Kickstarter, obviously metal is our option. But yeah, I mean, even if you don't want to play the game, I would check out guildball.com, because some of these teams you'll just look at and think, I just want to paint it.
Yeah.
They just look fantastic, individual models. And the way it works basically is you buy a starter set for each team. So they're about 20 quid, something like that. And you get 3 players, and that's where you get your team captain. So each team, how it plays, at the moment there's only one team captain. So you always have your team captain, and you always have the same mascot as well. The rest of your team, you basically pick 4 players. You tend to buy them separately, and they're about £7 to £12 each, depending on whether
the
a little guy or a big guy and stuff. And while every team has a number of players, which at the moment the max is 7, in terms of models that you can buy, and obviously you play with 6, so it gives you some variety. There's also another team called the Union, which is like mercenaries, and they are ones who will play obviously as a team, or you can use them and bring them into your roster of 6 as well. And even them, I mean, I've got 3 on the desk at the moment. They don't look like other teams, and this is one of the things I do like about it, is the models, you can tell when you look at it almost which team that's for.
Yeah,
a lot
of thought's gone into theming them.
Yeah, I mean, so the Union players, so for example, they don't work as a team, and what I mean by that is they don't buff each other. So they're actually really, really powerful, and you can bring them into your team, but your teams are better than the sum of its parts, if that makes sense, because of how the buffs work and stuff. But I'd certainly have a look at the Union players, particularly if you enjoy the painting them, because some of the models are fantastic. I mean, I've got one called Rage at the moment, which is a guy with like double hand weapons, smoking a cigar with his top hat on and stuff. It's just a great model to look at. I'm really looking forward to getting that painted up and stuff. But in terms of gameplay, it's all about getting your team together, making them work together, and I can't wait to just keep playing more games. I'm absolutely loving it at the moment with the Guild Ball stuff. The couple of niggling things with it, I suppose, is, and this is mainly because I'm a lazy gamer, is it's obviously gone live, you can buy it, and I bought it, and I went, oh, I can't play it, because there's no pitch at the moment. So one of the things they have done is, obviously, they've done the Kickstarter for the teams, which is now out, they're now live and stuff. They've done a separate on Indiegogo for the pitch, which is meant to come out in July, so I've pre-ordered it, I can't wait for pre-ordering and stuff, but the only thing is, I don't want to come across as moaning mini and stuff, is the price I paid for that, you can now get it cheaper just buying it normally and stuff. And I know I sent a message to Rich through Twitter and stuff, one of the guys who runs Steam Forge stuff, just saying, oh, this seems a little bit naughty and stuff. And did come back saying, well, your original Indiegogo post includes postage. Well, even with postage, it's still cheaper getting it through Element Games, for example. So it's a little bit naughty, I think, from them, not to give you at least something for backing them and funding them originally. But that's how it is and stuff. I have pre-ordered it and I'm looking forward to it. But one of the other things is, we have put it on the Twitter feed, is one of the guys in our club, Dave, he's found a way to make this game map for about £3.50. Yeah. which is 10% of the price of the Indiegogo one, by using an Aldi greenhouse mat, I think it is, greenhouse grass mat, is where it's come from. So, I mean, we put stage by stage on there, and it actually looks really good when it's done. And for £7, you can make two Guild Ball pictures.
Yeah, I got him to pick me up a thing with a roll of it when he was in Aldi last, so I'm going to make a pitch that way. I'm also going to have a go cutting out a stencil and stenciling the Guild Ball symbol into the centre of the pitch.
Oh, okay, for the centre spots and stuff. Okay.
Just because I can.
Why not?
Yeah.
Give it a go. Why not? Plus you get to use your airbrush again.
Well, yeah.
And then you have to show them to clean mine, because I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, for anybody who's listening who's got an airbrush, I just looked at times earlier because we're in his man cave, and the nozzle is still caked in white paint from the last time he used it.
Well,
if you listen now, you can hear people cringing all over the world.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone actually knows how to clean an airbrush. That's the problem. We just put some liquid through it. That's all you do. A bit of water, a bit of cleaning fluid, spray, done. Isn't it?
I really need to show you how to actually do it.
Do you know what? Actually, I'd really appreciate if you could. I bet there's people out there who would. Sorry, our one listener who would have an airbrush. If he does, would really like to know as well, and a few hints and tips. But getting back to Guild Ball and stuff. The other thing you do need to play the game, obviously, is there's templates and things. And again, you know, one of the things they've always said is we'll supply everything you need, and you can download a PDF of it. But it is only a PDF on paper, and the few games I've had, it's been a bit awkward. And I'm trying best to hold off not buying third-party ones, because already you can go to a number of third-party suppliers who'll sell you a set of Guild Ball tokens. And you do need them. So, for example, one of the things we were talking about before was how flimsy some of these models are. Well, if you get knocked down, you don't want to start tipping the models inside and stuff, especially because you've spent so long painting them. So there's like little why things like half moon, banana shaped tokens that say knock down that you put next to the base and stuff. Well, this is what you need. Well, I've seen them on the Guild Ball Twitter feed and stuff, so I know they are coming. They're just not here right now. I'm getting to the stage where I'm like, I just can't hold off anymore. I need to get these tokens. And I'm very surprised in a way that they haven't got them ready to go live, in a way. Because if they knew the models were coming, you'd have thought they'd have done either a separate Kickstarter or something to get them ready for...
Yeah, because, I mean, also as well, it's because they are essentially laser cut acrylic.
Yeah.
So that they're not difficult to do, because the companies who are selling them third party, you can tell they have basically just downloaded the PDF, taken the sizes off, and laser cut them out of either acrylic or MDF.
And that's it, yeah.
And that, because that is essentially all you need. So yeah, I was a bit surprised that they're not out already. Especially, I mean, I need, looking at my team, I need loads, because the Alchemists are basically a shooty team.
Yeah,
but,
you throw a lot of grenades around or something.
Yeah, but it's all like blast markers, and you know, blast markers stay on the pitch as like difficult terrain and stuff essentially.
Oh, okay.
Again, this is what I can tell from a quick flip through the rules. I'm not sat down and fully read it yet. But obviously that then means I need a lot of these markers.
Yeah. To
start playing a game, which again, you don't really want to be using just paper for too long, because they just, you know, somebody opens the door and there's a bit of a wind and suddenly you don't know where.
Well, funny enough, you say this. When I was playing the game I mentioned before against Dave and his Morticians, they've got one of these blast markers, which is like a 5 grenade, and we ended up, because we only cut out one PDF, and it kept throwing these things. We're like, we'll put a dice there, and we'll cut a piece of paper out, and then, as you say, the door opened and it blew. Oh God! So we need to get these proper plastic. So I mean, I know they're coming. It's just a bit frustrating, because I'm trying at the moment, because I am really up for this game, loving it. I'm trying to recruit as many people as I can, but it's difficult trying to do like demonstration games or trying to show people at the club or something. If you kind of think, and now this little piece of paper that's flying around everywhere, you need some of these and stuff, and it just doesn't look as good as it could do. But I know they are coming, but I don't know if I can hold out any more for them. But I think the other thing as well is with the game is we're looking at getting like a mini league set up and stuff. So we are well up for this game. So I think there's going to be 8 of us. We're going to have each of the 8 teams, I think. So I'm really looking forward to getting that going. But this is obviously only what's called Season 1. So in Season 1, basically, when it's a Season 1, what it means is there'll be different versions of it coming out. And when I say versions, the rules will stay the same, but that's how they'll do their expansion packs, if you like. So Season 1 is the original teams, and they've got one captain, one mascot, as you say, and 4 or 5 people in their roster. So for example, my butchers, I've got 5 people, plus a captain, plus a mascot, and I can pick 6 from them. As well as the Union, who are the mercenaries. So then as the seasons come out, and I think Season 2 is later this year, they've already announced the Hunters Guild as a new guild. And one of the things they have said is that they're looking to bring out probably a new model for each team as they go around, or at least a new model available to each team, so it might be a new mercenary player. One thing I do hope they really do is 2 things really. One, they bring out a new either captain and or mascot for every team, because it's the only 2 models you can't change. Yeah. So, you know, for example, with the Butchers, I mean, I don't know why I want to change Ox, because he's an awesome captain, but I'm stuck with Ox. I never get an opportunity to play anything different. Same with Princess. It's always Princess. You know, it's always the Butcher's dog, not the Butcher's cat, or whatever it is and stuff. So I hope they bring out that just for more variety, so you can see different versions of Butchers or Alchemists or Morticians or Masons, wherever. But I also hope they don't break anything. And that sounds stupid, because when you look at the teams now, is they've done it so not just aesthetically, so I had a look at them, but how they play, they're all very different. So as we said before, the Butchers are a very hitty team. You've got the Fishermen, who are the very pass and move team. You've got your guys, which are the Alchemists, who are all about obviously making dangerous terrain, using special buffs, etc. You've got the Morticians, who are all around negative play, stopping you doing what you want. You've got the Union, who are powerful individually but not combined together. You've got the Brewers, who basically get smashed and they have to drink before they do things because they're all drunken Scotsmen. And I just hope as they start adding more teams, they don't get into this danger where everyone just becomes generic lineman, blitzer, blocker, captain and stuff. But I don't know how the other seasons are going to go, really. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But I'm assuming that's how they'll keep interest in the game going forwards with it, when they bring out new teams, new players and stuff. And that's how you'll obviously buy new things as they come out and stuff. Because at the moment, I mean, I bought the Butcher's Dice, I bought the Butcher's team. In theory, I don't need to buy anything else ever again now from Guild Ball. I'll just play the game forever.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is it. The actual, you are probably looking at, what, 50, 60 quid for a complete game?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose
maybe add in tokens as well. Maybe, what, 75?
It's probably, what, 40 quid on the team. If you want tokens, maybe 15, 20 when they come out.
Yeah.
And if you want official dice, because I've gone full in. I've gone nuts, I've gone full nuts. I spent 20 quid on dice as well. But really, yeah, 60 quid, done.
Which does put it in that category of, and also with it being so easy to build and paint because there's only 6 models, that it's that sort of grey after you've been at a sort of Warhammer tournament, or after you're just bored of playing your normal game of 40k. You can just go, let's just play this for.
Well, you say this now, and this is interesting you brought this up actually, is because I had in my head an impression that this would be at a tournament, Saturday night, chilled out game, really quick, really simple, and all the rest of it. It's certainly simple, it's not necessarily quick, is the thing. So I'm surprised that, as you say, there's only 6 players aside, 12 models in total. I don't think I've had a game less than 2 hours yet to play a proper game and stuff. So, by that definition, 2 hours, I mean, I can play a 2.5k Warhammer game in that. So it's not a quick 30-minute, throwaway game in a way. It is, in a way, I don't want to say a replacement of the main game, but it's almost getting to that stage where you could consider it a main game because of how long it takes, which surprised me, actually, how long it did take. And I know between the Kickstarter rules and the official rules, they've really speeded things up and they're trying to streamline it, but it's still surprising how long it took to play those games. So, I mean, obviously, we are well for it, I think, and I can't really recommend it enough. If you're interested, obviously go to guildball.com. There's a couple of little niggling things, I suppose, around. Not everything's available right now, and things like they've printed the rule book in a weird way, or in my head it's a weird way.
Yeah, the rule book, it's an A4 book, and it's printed in landscape, not portrait.
Yeah.
Which just makes it slightly odd because obviously every other book is printed portrait, so you're used to flicking through a book that way. Also, with it being softback, A4 landscape is quite wide, which means it flops around a lot. So it's not the easiest of books to flick open and read. I saw the other day somebody had taken it to go on a train journey, and they were just like, I can't really read it because it's too.
Do you know, I had it on a train actually coming back from Cardiff the other day, and it was too big. See, the thing to me is, I understand why, and the idea is you can leave it open on your table while you're playing the games and stuff. But actually, the rules are that simple in a way. You do that for the first game or two, and then you don't need it anymore. And what I found, I mean, I've only played half a dozen games or so, but already some of my pages seem to become a bit loose, because obviously when it's that way round, there's not as much glue on the pages holding them down. And obviously I don't think I'll be constantly flicking through it, so I don't think it'll all fall to pieces. But it's just one of those things where I understand why, but I don't think it was needed in a way. But it does make it stand out.
Yeah.
I understand that, obviously it makes it stand out. But I just don't know if that was needed all the way to do it that way.
It does seem to be a common theme that I've seen whenever anybody's picked the game up. Is almost certainly the first thing they say is, "This rule book's the wrong way around."
Yeah, it just feels weird.
Yeah,
just feels strange.
First off, it feels odd, and then it's really difficult to read.
I mean, speaking of reading the rule book, actually, I did get a bit confused at first, because the way when you read it, it sort of interjects the fluff with the rules. So unlike as I say, when you go to say your Warhammer rule book and stuff, it's not a section of fluff and a section of rules. It's sort of interjected.
That's quite. If you ever look at like a War Machine book, they kind of.
I've never seen
quite,
a War Machine book and stuff.
They're quite. They interject like that. Malifaux does to an extent as well, and quite a lot of the smaller skirmish games will give you some rules and then interject a bit of the fluff about characters, rather than putting it all in one section and all in another. But yeah, I know what you mean, because you can, especially if you're sort of flicking through quickly trying to find the right rule.
Yeah.
You're not just scanning through, because they're in individual boxes, so you're then looking at the box, which is actually the fluff, and going, no, I don't need that bit.
I think that's it really. I mean, when I first went through it, it was fine, and I read the fluff and bit by bit and all the rest of it, and I read the rules bit by bit. But it was when I was playing games, I was like, okay, so I'm on this page, so it must be the next page to do with kicking. And then there were 3 pages of fluff. And oh God, where's the next page and stuff? So it was a little bit frustrating and stuff. But obviously, it's just worth mentioning that you might, because I'm not used to that. I think coming from a Games Workshop background, it's all very much here's your fluff section, here's your rule section. Off you go. Even codexes and army books do the same thing. Where it's all in that. The other thing that Guild Ball have done, which I quite like, is the named characters. And what I mean by this is one of the problems I've always had with Blood Bowl is team progression.
Yes.
So we've always gone, alright, we'll start a league and stuff, and you start a league and you play some games and players get injured because that's realistic, and players advance and gain skills, and then 6 months later someone says, oh, can I join your league? And you go, yes, but we're all going to smash you 10-0. Because we've all advanced and we've all got triple skills here and there.
Yeah, or you then try and go, right, well, in that case, just take this many, and then you're like, well, no, that doesn't work, because then you're going to plan what upgrades you're going to give to each individual one, and suddenly yours come out uber good because you planned, well, they're first going to get block, and then they're going to get this, and then they're going to get this.
Yeah, so I realise the fact that because they are named characters, they're sort of frozen in time.
Yeah.
So at any point, so for example, we're running a league of 8, if anyone wants to join, or someone dropped out and we've got a new player or something, it doesn't matter in a way, because everyone's always, in theory, at an equal playing field. And part of me thinks, oh, I'll never be able to upgrade my butchers and stuff. But then I kind of think, actually, that makes it a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And a lot more straightforward. And actually, doesn't make it as much of a closed shop game. And I think, from what I've read in the rumours and what I've heard and stuff, that's what future seasons will be. You'll see different versions of your existing players as they sort of grow up.
Yeah, that's a sort of a War Machine thing,
right?
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm not a massive War Machine player, but from what I do know of the rules, so you've got characters who have started off, and the story for War Machine has always progressed.
Oh, okay.
So you've got characters who started off at the beginning who have got better,
right?
Or some have changed factions, and then so you've got like avatar versions of some of them, because they've got really good. The new characters come in. I think characters get killed off. Wouldn't necessarily.
Well, actually, if you read the Guild Ball fluff, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but of all the characters who you can buy in season 1, they're not all alive by the end of the rule book, if you like. So already some people are dead, or some people we think might be dead already.
So I mean, you've got the potential, say, for those ones who may be like seriously injured, that they come back as they've been fixed, and suddenly they've got like a bionic arm or something, and then you've got a different version of that player with a different set of skills, because they've got a bionic arm, which means that they play differently, which is a nice way of doing it. But it does then mean that, and this is the issues you can get with War Machine, of if it gets past a certain point, and I can't see how, with it only being the small number of models, Guild Ball could do this for the foreseeable future. But you reach the point of, I have to dedicate a lot of time to learning what every single model does.
Right.
Because playing, if you're playing War Machine in a tournament, you don't just need to know what all of your models do. You just know what all of your opponents' models do, and how they all. So you know how they were going to interact with each other. So you know before you begin, they brought this caster. That means they're going to play like this. Certainly for me, the main reason I've never got into War Machine is because I don't have that time to invest in learning. Not even what I struggle to learn, because I've got troll bloods. I struggle to figure out the synergies between them, let alone be able to look at my opponent and go, you've got this Warcaster, and you've got this Warjack, and you've got this unit. That means they'll all combine and do this at some point, so I need to watch out for this particular trick that you can do once a game and all this type of stuff. It confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah,
I hope they don't get to that level at any point soon, because if they do, that'll probably sort of turn me off it for...
Yeah, I mean, I do hope they bring out, as I say, a different captain for each team, a different mascot, just to give you variety. But I think where I'll start getting nervous myself is when it goes, right, we've now got a Season 2 version of Boiler, who's like the young kid from the Butchers, and a Season 3 version in the future, and you go, right, am I now playing Season 1 version or 2 or 3? What skills have they got? Are they different? Can I not play some players I used to have and now I've got to buy new ones because they're only them are available in the new season? And I think that's where I'll start getting a bit confused and stuff, because I am quite simple. I get confused quite easy actually. But at the moment, right now, today, I'm loving it. I can't wait to get properly into it and get leagues going and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a fun game, and you can see the potential for it to grow into a game that can continue to be fun. It's just you can also see the potential for it if they move too far,
too quick,
then it reaches the point of where I know I'll be going, I'm out because I can't keep up with, I don't know who that person is or what that team does anymore.
I mean, there's definitely potential, because I know when we were at last AGOM in Stockport, there was like a Blood Bowl tournament, the same venue. I think there were 40, 50 players there, and you think, well, Blood Bowl's not had any support for 10 years, probably.
It's more than that now.
Probably must be at least 10 years and stuff. And yet it's still going strong, still good community. So, I mean, if you get this established properly, you can really benefit from it. And some of the other things probably just worth mentioning is, obviously, to play, you also need goals. Well, goals don't exist at the moment, so again, it gives everyone a modelling opportunity to make their own goal. I think I'll put some photos up on the blog as well about some butcher's goals I've made, but I'm hanging bits of meat off and stuff. But again, it's just more to personalise your team, make it your team as well, which I really like, because obviously at the moment every team is generic butchers, generic alchemists and stuff, and that's one thing I'm looking forward to, as you get maybe a little bit more options of captains and your own goals, it becomes your team and stuff. But I mean, for those out there, if you've not had a look, go and check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. And I just can't recommend the game enough, really. There are some problems with it. I'm not gonna say it's golden city and everything's perfect. There is a bit of issue around the service at the moment in terms of, as I said, about this thing with the maths and stuff. And I know when we were trying to get one of the guys set up, there was issues around things were in stock or not in stock. And obviously we've sort of got a disadvantage in a way, as well as an advantage, that we can go to Stockport and we see all the stock from floor to ceiling of models, but we can't buy them. You're like, oh, seems a bit strange. And I know some people are saying on Twitter, they haven't got their Kickstarters sorted yet, whilst people can just buy it publicly and things. So I'm sure there's a few issues, but in the general, I do think it's got a good future.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those issues it's a company that didn't exist a year ago.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's a
group of people who didn't run a games company a year ago. And I know, because I've listened now to, occasionally you'll hear on like a podcast or somebody talking about having run a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I think they all say the same thing, which is they just did not realise how much time it would take, how much effort actually went into it, sort of above and beyond I've got this money, now I need to put these products out.
Yeah.
And I suspect there's been an absolutely massive learning curve that they are still on.
Absolutely, and I know when I spoke to Rich, one of the guys who's behind Steamforge Games and stuff, he was talking about they're looking at doing not just obviously season 2 and 3 of Guild Ball, but different games as well. And some of the lessons he's learned, he can apply to those games and not make the same mistake twice and stuff. So I'm not having to go with them and saying it's really bad and stuff. But it's not perfect. They are learning and stuff, but games-wise, I'm absolutely loving it at the moment, and I can't recommend it enough. And one thing we will do, obviously, is that as our league kicks off, quite literally kicks off, because it's football. Sorry, it's soccer, not football. Obviously, we'll keep people updated and see how things go and progress and what the teams do with each other and stuff as we discover, which is really good. And that's Guild Ball, really.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's the show.
I think that's about the show, but we'll wrap up there. Come back, say hello, say goodbye. Not say hello. You say hello, I say goodbye. There we go, and all the rest of it. Just before we go, one quick thing as well, just to put it in context, is I'm off to a Warhammer tournament this weekend. So I'm going to the Outpost in Sheffield, to Throne of Lols, which is obviously based on Throne of Skulls. There's 24 players, 2,000 points Warhammer, and the idea is you're meant to take nice friendly things. Now, for me, nice friendly thing was not taking 2 Iron Blasters, not taking you as the 4 more Fang or 18 Iron Guts, which is my normal one. And I quite like the fact that in the rules pack for this it said, please don't do a Spuddy. And I thought, right, am I that bad? Am I that guy?
You are known.
Well, I think it's because last time he did one of these tournaments, Adam Sinclair, for one of these in the Outpost, I turned up with 18 Iron Guts, all the characters to buff them, 4 Mornfang, double cannons. That was it. That was my list charge, basically. And I did win it, but I think there were some people not complaining, but not happy that they were like, I'm facing utter filth. And I thought, well, yeah. So that was a fun time. So, yes, I've not done a Spuddy. It's full MSU Ogres. So I'll be obviously reporting on that next time when it comes back. But some of the lists I've seen, 1 or 2 are not disappointing me, 1 or 2 are very generic tournaments. But there's some absolutely random ones. And I might need your help off air, actually, because I'm facing Chaos Dwarfs first round. And they do scare me a little bit, Chaos Dwarfs, because I don't really know their
Chaos
tactics.
Dwarfs are fine, because they don't really...
Well, the Chaos Dwarfs are 0 War Machines, is the list. But they've got, like, Kadai Fireborn and stuff. So if I need to speak about it, I don't know a clue what's going on. But yes, I'll report on that on next episode, really, for that one. As well as progress on Guild Hall. And obviously, if we take any photos, particularly things like best paint and stuff, we'll obviously get them on Twitter for it as well. And that's it then.
Yep. So we shall see you guys later.
Bye.